As the clock strikes deep into the night in the Romano apartment, the script of One Day at a Time shifts from the playful domestic chaos of the opening scenes into one of its most memorable comedic set pieces, the midnight marriage proposal, fueled by chicken soup and raw emotion. This sequence stands as a quintessential example of the show's ability to blend heartfelt romance with absurd situational comedy, perfectly capturing the unpredictable rhythms of single life in 1970s America. David, the earnest young lawyer, seizes what he perceives as the perfect romantic moment only for reality in the form of exhausted children, a nosy superintendent and Anne's cautious heart to intervene with delightful chaos. The proposal begins with Schneider's comically timed arrival, bearing 2 containers of chicken soup, 1 chicken noodle, and 1 chicken rice as a remedy for what he imagines might be illness in the household. His grandiose speech about the noble breed of night watchmen, comparing himself to doctors, firemen, and AAA tow truck drivers, is delivered with such pompous sincerity that it immediately diffuses any lingering tension from Anne, David's earlier argument. Schneider's character serves as the perfect foil to David's more refined intellectual demeanor. Where David attempts sophistication, Schneider offers unfiltered blue-collar warmth. This contrast highlights one of the show's enduring charms: its celebration of diverse personalities, coexisting in the close confines of apartment, living a common reality for many working families during that decade of economic flux and social change. David's proposal itself is endearingly clumsy yet deeply revealing. Having heard Anne utter the words "I love you" earlier in the evening, he finds the courage to ask for her hand in marriage, right there in the living room with the girls potentially listening from their bedrooms. He frames it as a natural progression, citing the courage Anne gave him by admitting her feelings. The script shines here in its refusal to portray the moment as purely saccharine. Instead, it layers in practical concerns and humorous objections. Anne immediately points out the absurdity of proposing with chicken soup rather than champagne candlelight and a proper dinner date. Her daughters, ever the Greek chorus of teenage wit, join in the teasing, with one remarking on the unlikelihood of marrying a man who might succumb to massive diaper rash, a jab at Schneider that elicits pure 1970s sitcom laughter. What makes this midnight proposal scene so effective is its multi-layered exploration of commitment in the post-divorce era. Anne, at 34, is navigating a relationship with a man 7 years her junior. The script cleverly revisits their earlier age-related spat, where David accuses her of being hung up on the difference and she fires back about his childish behavior. These exchanges are not mere filler but reflect broader 1970s anxieties about age, gender roles, and second chances at love. Women like Anne, newly empowered by the feminist movement and no-fault divorce laws, were cautiously exploring romance while prioritizing their independence and children's stability. David's persistence, refusing to leave until he receives an answer, showcases both his romantic idealism and occasional overbearing nature, a duality that adds rich texture to his character. The girls' involvement in the proposal discussion is handled with remarkable sensitivity and humor. When David suggests it is healthy for children to witness their parents deciding on marriage, the script nods to the era's evolving ideas about family openness and communication. Barbara and Julie's interjections, ranging from skepticism to playful mockery, prevent the scene from becoming overly sentimental. Their presence reminds viewers that Anne's romantic decisions are never made in isolation. They ripple through the entire family unit. This approach was groundbreaking for 1970s television, which had previously often relegated single mothers to tragic or secondary roles. Here Anne is the vibrant center, negotiating love while maintaining her role as the family's emotional anchor. As the hour approaches 2 o'clock in the morning, exhaustion sets in, and Anne's plea for David to leave carries the weight of a woman who has spent the day job hunting, managing household responsibilities, and now fielding a marriage proposal. David's concession, granting her 1 full week to consider his offer, becomes a pivotal plot device. It transforms the impulsive midnight moment into a lingering emotional arc that will drive the rest of the episode. The script excels in showing how love in this context is never simple. It is intertwined with financial realities, parenting duties, and personal fears of repeating past mistakes. Anne's previous marriage, though once entered with great confidence, ended in divorce, leaving her wary of rushing into another commitment. Throughout this section, the dialogue crackles with the sharp naturalistic timing that defined One Day at a Time. Rapid-fire exchanges, overlapping speeches, and callbacks to earlier jokes create a rhythm that feels authentically chaotic rather than artificially staged. The physical comedy, David's dramatic gestures, Schneider's repeated intrusions, and the girl's attempts to eavesdrop enhances the verbal wit without overshadowing the emotional core. One can easily imagine the studio audience roaring with laughter during Schneider's soup-related wisdom and Anne's exasperated reactions, while also appreciating the tender undercurrents of vulnerability. Thematically, the midnight proposal sequence explores the tension between romantic idealism and practical reality. David represents the hopeful, supportive partner who wants to provide security, while Anne embodies the proud, self-reliant woman, determined not to lose her hard-won autonomy. This dynamic mirrors larger societal shifts in 1970s America, where the traditional model of marriage as economic necessity was giving way to partnerships based on mutual respect and personal fulfillment. The show's gentle satire shines through in moments like David's over-the-top declarations and Anne's pointed refusals to be swept away by grand gestures. Moreover, the chicken soup itself becomes a running symbol, humble, nourishing, and comically unromantic. It represents David's genuine care even if his execution is flawed. By choosing such an everyday item for a life-changing moment, the writers underscore the beauty of ordinary love amidst extraordinary circumstances. This approach makes the characters feel profoundly relatable. Viewers watching in 1975 could see echoes of their own lives' late-night conversations, well-meaning but intrusive neighbors, and the delicate balancing act of parenting and dating. As the proposal scene winds down with David reluctantly departing and Anne retreating to her thoughts, the script masterfully sets up the internal conflict that will dominate the coming days. Anne's love for David is clear, yet her hesitation speaks volumes about the scars of her previous marriage and the weight of single motherhood. The one-week time frame injects gentle suspense while allowing space for reflection, conversations with her daughters, and further comedic complications. It is a testament to the writing that such a potentially heavy moment remains buoyant with humor and warmth. In reflecting on this part of the episode, one appreciates how One Day at a Time used these domestic scenarios to comment on broader issues without ever feeling didactic. The midnight proposal is funny, touching, and true to life, a perfect encapsulation of the show's enduring appeal. It celebrates the messiness of human connection while affirming the strength of a woman like Anne Romano, who refuses to settle even as she opens her heart to new possibilities. The chicken soup may not have sealed the deal that night, but it certainly seasoned the rich emotional stew of the Romano family's story, leaving audiences eager to see how the week of contemplation would unfold.